Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on what makes great writing work. There are a few core secrets that, once you really get them, can completely change how you look at that blank page. So, have you ever had that feeling? You're staring at the screen and you know what you want to say, but writing it down just feels impossible. It's so frustrating, right? We can talk all day long without even thinking about it, but the second we try to write, it's like something just jams up. So, what is going on there? Well, the answer really starts when we realize that speaking and writing aren't even playing the same sport. They operate under completely different rules, and that's the very first secret we have to wrap our heads around. I mean, just look at the difference here. Speaking is something we do together. It's spontaneous, it flows, and we get instant feedback, right? You see someone nod, or they look confused, or they ask a question. But writing, that's a whole different animal. It's a skill you have to learn, and most of the time you do it alone. It's permanent, it requires planning, and here's the kicker. You get absolutely zero feedback in the moment. You're basically sending a message in a bottle, just hoping someone finds it and understands what you meant. Okay, so if writing is a skill you have to learn, how have we traditionally taught it? Well, for a very, very long time, the entire focus was on one thing: the finished piece of work. Yeah, this was known as the product approach. And the goal was pretty straightforward: create a text with perfect grammar and spelling. Students would be given these perfect model texts and told to basically copy the style. It was all about getting the rules right. It's kind of like judging a chef only on the final dish they put on the table, without having any idea how they actually cooked it. And that right there is the huge flaw in that old way of thinking. It totally ignored the most important part of writing: that messy, creative, and sometimes really frustrating journey of actually getting an idea out of your head and onto the page. But then, things started to shift. Around the 1980s, researchers decided to stop looking at just the final product and started studying what actual writers do. And what they discovered? Well, it changed everything. This quote absolutely nails the big aha moment. It turns out that writing isn't some neat step-by-step process. Not at all. Good writers are constantly jumping around. The process is recursive, which is just a fancy way of saying that they're always circling back, rethinking, and revising as they go. It's messy, and that's not a bug, it's a feature. So researchers basically broke the writing process down into these three main activities. You've got planning, translating, which is just actually writing the sentences, and reviewing. But here's the real secret. Skilled writers are in a constant loop between these three. You might be in the middle of writing a paragraph and suddenly you jump back to planning because a better idea just hit you. Or you might jump ahead to quickly edit a sentence you just wrote. It's more like a fluid dance than a straight march. And this idea became the new motto: writing is rewriting. And that is such a liberating thought, isn't it? It means your first draft doesn't have to be perfect. In fact, it's not supposed to be. The real magic doesn't happen when you're first putting words down. It happens when you go back and revise. Okay, so understanding that your own process is gonna be messy, that's a huge step, but it's only half the battle. There was still one piece of the puzzle missing. What about the reader? Who are you actually writing for, and why does that matter so much? And this is where the concept of genre comes in. And seriously, forget what you might have learned about poetry or novels in school. In the real world, a genre is just any kind of writing that's meant for a specific situation. A business email, a scientific report, a blog post, even a text message to a friend. Those are all different genres, and each one has its own set of unwritten rules. This quote gets to the absolute heart of the matter. Great writing isn't just about being grammatically correct. It's about being appropriate. The words you choose, the tone you take, the way you structure everything, it all has to be a perfect fit for the situation, the audience, and your goal. So take a look at this writing prompt right here. It's for a student magazine. Now, what's so brilliant about this is that it doesn't just say, hey, write about a school trip. It tells you the genre, a magazine article, it tells you the audience, your fellow students, and it tells you the purpose: to share a great experience. And what's funny is having those clear boundaries actually makes it so much easier to be creative. Honestly, this is the best way to think about it. It's like picking out your clothes. You wouldn't wear a bathing suit to a business meeting, right? In the same way, you have to choose your words and your style to fit the writing occasion. Being appropriate is everything. So, after going through all of this, what are the big takeaways? How does this actually help you become a better, more confident writer tomorrow? It really all boils down to these three powerful secrets. First, stop worrying so much about perfect grammar and start focusing on clear communication. Second, embrace the messy process. The good stuff comes from rewriting, not from getting it perfect on the first shot. And finally, always think about who you're writing for and why. Let that guide every choice you make. So, I'll leave you with a question. Thinking about the next thing you have to write, whether it's a simple email or a huge project, what's the one thing you'll do differently now that you know this? Will you give yourself more time to revise? Or maybe you'll think a little harder about your audience before you type a single word. It's definitely something to think about.